Welcome back to Hot Mess Espresso, guys. We have the vocalist for Sync With Me, which is a local Manchester, New Hampshire band, Evan Middleton. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going. It's going. Full disclosure for everyone, I've known Evan for a hot minute. From like when did you guys come out here? Like
Uh,
2018? 2017?
2017 was when we came. My old band Dismissed came out and
Yeah.
played with Aphasia, and I set my friends on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, that was a
That
crazy
freaking corner
show.
bar in Greece. Oh my God. I never asked you, how did you even wind up out here?
So originally in 2016, Aphasia and a band Revealer in your area,
No, I know,
were
Revealer.
doing they were doing like a weekend run, and they were playing our home venue and
Ah.
in Manchester, and they were really awesome. They hung out with us, let them like crash at our like band house for the night
Mm-hmm.
while they were on tour, and we had just like built kind of a friendship. And then from there, later on in the year, they were like, "Hey, we're playing this show. We'd love to have you guys come out." And then I Set My Friends on Fire got added to it, and it was
Which
like
is
just
crazy because how much they've blown up.
yeah, they've like started going crazy, and yeah, so we went out there and played that show, and it was a lot of fun. We actually had a fill-in too for that.
Mm-hmm. I
John
remember
from
that.
Aphasia, he learned all the
Yeah.
songs. Uh, we went and we practiced our whole set like at John's house in his basement
Mm-hmm.
right before the show, and then
Yeah.
played the show. But yeah, that was a really fun time. And then we did play there again one time on tour in 2018 of October.
Okay,
October
yeah.
of 2018.
No, I remember that because I was like, I feel like it was, but yeah, no, I think John's in Divine Fallacy now. It's another
Yep.
band.
Just
So,
played with them last year in June, I think it was, out in Niagara Falls
oh yeah,
at
Niagara
Frostfest.
Falls. Oh my
Yeah, that
God.
was a
The
drive.
New York side's not as nice as the Canadian side. Everyone will agree with that.
I have also heard this name.
Yeah, it's just like it's a thing. But yeah, so obviously dismissed, disbanded. Um and kind of everyone's gone their separate ways. You're in a new band now, Sync With Me. How long has that been a project of yours?
Since the end of 2019, November 2019,
Oh,
I
so it's been a
believe.
minute.
Or actually, no, that's not correct. Sorry, 2020. I always get it mixed up because of the pandemic.
Yeah, no, like time's just like a thing at this point
Yeah.
post 2020.
So we've been a band for 4 years technically.
Mhm.
It was November of 2020 when we
Okay.
started. It was really funny when after Dismissed, I had pretty much like I was so mentally drained from like all the aspects of being in a band, and like that band had just run its course. We had been doing stuff since 2015, uh, early 2014, so about 5 years. And after all that, I was like, I'm fucking done with music. Not doing it no more. Like, don't care for it. And then I was working storm relief during the pandemic in Connecticut, and my old guitarist, he was like, "Yo, check this out," and he sent me a link on Apple Music, and I click on it. It's our band playing, and our music's not online. And this
Right.
band, the music it's playing, completely different song title, completely different band name, different artwork, everything. But it's our mastered recording. How this person got it, I have no idea. But they uploaded all of our songs and were claiming it to be their own, and they were like on Twitter and on Instagram, and they were like flirting with girls, like, yeah, I'm so broken and like hurt, and like I wrote these songs about my struggles and this and that. And we ended up like posting about it on Facebook, and like everybody like started, kind of, I guess, doxing him in a sense, and was like hitting him up like, yo, that's fucked that you're doing this. And then he hit us back, was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll take down the songs. Like, I never meant for this to happen. I never like
What'd you
thought I
think
would
was
get
gonna happen?
no idea. I thought it was crazy. Like, he didn't even like copy the homework. He just took it and then passed it off as his own. Um, and it was actually because of him that I was like, the almost like a fire got
Mhm.
reignited where I was like, that's fucked. Like someone took like music that I put years of my life into and like things that I wrote about and like things that I've been through, try to pass it off as his own to get like brownie points with girls online. So from there I like started hitting up a couple people and it's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing music again. Like, would you want to be a part of it? And then that's kind of where Sync With Me came about. Oh, yeah, shout out that dude from England that stole my old band's music because you're the reason I do Sync With Me now.
No kidding. Yeah, I was gonna ask if he was, like, from the New England area because it's a very tight-knit metal community from the couple of times I've been out there.
Yeah, no, 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 England.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, that was gonna be my next question. Then you said England, and I was like, oh, that makes sense because there's no way he would have gotten away with it for that long without somebody clocking him.
Oh yeah, no, no, no. But yeah, I haven't seen anything of his posts like since that has happened, and hopefully he's not stealing other people's music. But it was definitely like it was like a what the hell kind of moment. Like, how did this even happen?
Right. It's like, I'm glad we're good enough for somebody to steal our stuff, but what in the actual fuck is going on?
The worst part was there was a song that got uploaded that we never even released.
Oh my holy shit. How the
Yeah,
hell?
that was like the most intriguing part. Like I don't know how the Dropbox link got like leaked, but yeah, he had songs we didn't even release like as a band because we had broken up before we put it all out. It was crazy.
That's absolutely fucking bizarre. So then where did the name Sync With Me come from? Was that just kind of like it was always kind of what was pressing on you or someone was like, "Oh, let's do this." And you're like, that one."
So okay, kind of. So we originally were trying to think of names. We were tired of like the one word name or like the weird abbreviations. Like tried to stay away from that. Um and we originally were going to call ourselves Sleep It Away. Like kind of something along those lines. We even had like a logo done up and everything. And then like the bassist at the time was like, "Guys, I have bad news." And we were like, "What?" And then he posts a Spotify link to a band that's already active, already like, you know, doing
Mhm.
pretty good numbers for themselves called Sleep It Away. So we were like, fuck. Well, can't use that. And then he goes, "What if we just did Sync With Me?" It's kind of like the same thing. It's like, and uh like essentially like feel what I'm feeling.
Mhm.
That we were all just kind of like, "Oh, that makes sense." Like that actually like that fits better than what it was. And so we looked online. There was nobody called that. No one even remotely close. So we hopped on that, and then that's us. Sync With Me.
No. I mean, honestly, probably the best move because there's so many like bigger bands that all have Sleeping with Sirens, Sleep Token, Sleep Theory, you know,
Yeah,
like
it's a lot.
you kind of would have gotten lost in the shuffle, I feel.
I also agree. I think it's a very common word that's used in a lot of different things, a lot of different band names. And I
Mhm.
think ours like it's not the most unique band name in the world, but it's definitely like a unique band name um, in comparison to some of the names that we're seeing around.
Yeah. So are you guys still in the original lineup or I'm guessing no because you said bassist at the time?
We're in the original lineup with the exception of our drummer and our bassist.
Mhm.
Our original drummer had more, I guess, more interest in like doing other things, which I don't fault him for at all because like he was really passionate about it, about what he was doing, and like I could not really commit the time to the band at that time.
Yeah.
And since then, he's grown really well in like his respective field and what he's doing, and he's really happy. So that's really cool to see. And then um, our bassist, who was in the original lineup. He just had some stuff that he was going through, and like we kind of just like, we're like, hey, you should take a step back and kind of focus on these things, kind of, take care of yourself, take care of your mental well-being, because like there's no way you can be 100% for us if you're not even 100% for yourself. Um,
1,000%.
and then from there, we've just stuck as a four piece. Don't really have any interest in adding someone to the band. Just to add someone, we do completely fine as four. Um, but yeah, for the most part, we've been the same the same core lineup since we started playing shows. Back in 2022, I think, is when we started playing shows, or 2021. I honestly don't 100% remember.
Right. Please hold. I have a cat to bring up. Somebody needs his mother. But anyways, um, what was it kind of like playing your guys' first like live show together?
It was really like cathartic in a way, because like, I hadn't been on stage since the last time I played a show, where I thought like it was going to be my final show. Like I was never going to play on stage again. And we actually, funny enough, we had rushed to get ready for that show, because we weren't ready, but we didn't want to like miss the opportunity to play like a pretty sweet show. And it's funny because now they have blown up. I have said since day one, since I saw them that night, that they were going to be massive. It's If Not For Me. They
No
headline
shit.
our, yeah, they're our boys.
Oh my
Love those
God.
dudes. We did our first show as a band with them. We played their one of their EP release show or CD release shows, um, in Rhode Island, and then we also did our first weekend run as a band ever with them. All amazing dudes. Can't say enough nice things about them. But yeah, got the offered that show opportunity, and we're like, well, shit, like let's just get ready. Let's get ready. Let's play it. We went up there and we ripped and had fun, and like it just felt good. Felt good to just get back up there. Obviously, it was not our best show. So it was our first show. There's a little bit of technical difficulties. I think there was like an issue with my mic at one point, but overall it was really fun. And then like we got to see If Not For Me play, and I remember like the exact moment, standing there with my bassist, watching them play one of the songs off Eulogy, and I just remember the lights and the way that the music hit and just the way that everything came together. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, these guys are gonna be fucking massive. Like I've said that since that day, and
Yeah,
it's just like insane. Like they're about to go to Europe for the
I
next month
know.
or so,
I
with
know.
Make Them Suffer, and yeah,
Which is
they deserve
insane
everything
because
they're getting.
because Make Them Suffer's been around forever.
Yeah, they've been around for a long. 2006, I think. I could be wrong. I don't remember when Widower came out, but they've been around for a minute. But yeah, love those guys. They deserve absolutely everything that is coming their way and will continue to come their way. It's been really cool to see them go from playing my home venue to 25, 30 kids to now playing sold out venues all over the place.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize like how far you come when you're in a metal band, because I know like especially like in New England, one, there's a ton of big bands that come out of New England. I mean, Will fucking Ramos is out of like I think New Hampshire, because I know my ex like has played with
Uh
him at a couple of local
I
shows like before
I
he went to
believe
Lorna,
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah, I'm
I
just like
mean, I
New
don't know if he
England
was like
area.
born in New Hampshire, but I believe New Jersey. Yeah, he used to be in Awake in Providence,
Yeah,
Monument of a Memory, um, and I don't know the other ones. Those are really the only two I know besides Lorna Shore.
yeah, because I think it was Awaken Providence that my ex said that he had played with Will at a like a just like a regional tour when he was in, and I'm terrible, but I forget the band he was in. But you know, it was fuck, I can't remember. I don't
Uh,
know.
Attacking the Vision.
That one. That
Yeah.
one. Back when he was the drummer. Yeah, because they opened for Lorna at the Palladium. Actually, they technically opened for the Faceless. And that was like one of the shows that Faceless actually showed up to. They
I
were
was
like
about to say,
upstairs
did
at the
they ever
Palladium.
show?
What?
I was gonna say, did the Faceless ever show?
They did. It was like everyone was like, "Is Lorna technically going to be the headliner?" And like Lorna, I mean, this was way back. This is when CJ was like, that was their debut tour, was CJ.
Oh
So this
shit.
was 20, yeah, it was 2018.
Jesus.
Time flies. But yeah, I mean, like people don't realize that like these metal bands don't just like take off out of nowhere, and obviously like it takes time. But you're doing basement shows, literally in somebody's basement in their house for like 10 people, and then you go from that to, and it's just so crazy to see this like growth, especially with like metal bands. And I just absolutely love that metal's finally getting some recognition. Some, I
I feel
mean,
like it's gotten more recognition over the years and like continues to and will, especially with like, bands like Sleep Token, Knocked
mhm,
Loose, Spirit Box, all kind of pushing the boundaries and like pushing like where, because like yes, there are metal bands that have been like obviously have worldwide accolades like Metallica, you
mhm,
know, um, but like from our little subgenre, our little place in metal,
mhm.
not so much. And it is really cool to see it being more accepted and more people going to shows. Um, I think that the only disconnect in that is that these people don't know where to find it locally. Which
Yeah,
not every local show is amazing. Not every local band is absolutely amazing, and there's nothing wrong with that. People need time to grow and to learn
exactly.
and to develop their skills, develop their music. But I think it's really cool that millions and millions of people are seeing Knocked Loose. But it's like, how did they get from Knocked Loose now to other bands in the scene to, I guess, kind of branch off and see what's locally around them? Because there is like a lot of amazing
A
local
million.
bands that don't ever really get the props they deserve or necessarily get the opportunity to play a big show in some of these areas. And that's no fault to Not Loose or anyone who has
Right.
success. Um, it's just, it would be cool if there was some kind of bridge to that gap of where
Mhm.
now, we're getting all of these people into this genre. How do we get them to also support at like the ground level? But that also comes with, it being good music.
Yeah.
I personally don't like going and sitting at a show and listening to just straight noise for
Yeah.
5 6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, like everyone's got to start somewhere. I mean, you look at my first like podcast episodes and it's like, ooh. And like it's kind of the same, like, you guys played your first show and it was like, a little like cringy-ish, but then like you see how far you've come and stuff like that. But what I really like about the metal scene is you're seeing a lot of these venues, like the Palladium, for one. Like Lorna Shore, they weren't like huge as big as they are now, but they were bigger. They were definitely bigger, and they found local openers. We do that here as well. Like half the bands that I've seen and fallen in love with, like the Plot and You and Fit for a King and all of that, was because aphasia was one of the local openers, and they slide in like one or two local openers to A, get them the exposure, but B, that's how I found these like bigger bands that I fell in love with. And it kind of goes from there. And that's like that, you don't find that in other genres 9 times out of 10. Like it's just like that's the lineup and that's the lineup for the entire tour, versus a lot of these places are like plus a couple of local openers, and it's like yes, like we love that.
Yep, I would agree. Palladium does a really good job of that.
Mhm.
We've played a couple of bigger shows there because of them. We played one of Casey's first shows in America. Um, or the return shows. I think someone corrected us that it was like their first time coming back or something like that. I don't
Mhm.
know. We played Dreamwake's headliner there. That was a lot of fun.
So
But
much.
I think to touch on like what you were saying, I think it would be cool too to see more of. And again, obviously, bands at this level, they're a business. They need to make money. Like
Right.
they're not on the road to give handouts and to lose money and whatever it might be.
Exactly.
Um, but it would be really cool to see, some of these tour packages go out with just 3 bands and have that opening slot at every show given to a local that like actually deserves to have that platform to be up there and to like showcase themselves to a bigger audience, because we got insanely lucky last
Mhm.
year where Caskets, they were on the Set It Off tour. They're, for whatever reason, they could not get their visas processed. So
I
um
remember that.
our bassist, who does like artwork for Set It Off and stuff, had like jokingly said to them like, oh, you know, like when they announced like the tour, they're like, oh, if you
Mhm.
need like another opener for Boston, let my screamy band play. And obviously, like as a joke, like we
Right.
didn't think that would ever happen.
Right.
W-
Especially Set It
week
Off, like, they've been around forever.
week of the show, they message him and go, do you guys actually want to play? Because Caskets can't make it. You can come open the show. And we were like, obviously, we were like, yeah, absolutely. Like we all told our jobs, like we're not coming in. Sorry,
Right.
like we're going to play a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, and because of them, like I kid you not, we that night, like the amount of people that came up and like said that they had felt something from our music or that they loved our sound, bought literally every piece of merch that we had. I don't think we've ever sold that much merch over the course of any show, like for an entire year. Like we sold out of almost everything that night and made hundreds of new fans and people that came up and shared their stories with me of what I shared off of stage. And those people still to this day, like interact with us all the time. When are you coming back to Boston? When are you releasing new music? When are you doing this? And it's like obviously it was just it was a surreal experience because Set It Off did not have to do that. They could have just rocked a 3-person show, like could have let the show run early, you know, get out early, but like, you know, they let us get up there and show what we have and show what we're, you know, able to offer. And it was just the coolest experience. Like if I never got to play another big show like that, I'm so glad it was that show to play in front of thousands of people and get to experience that was like insane. And I'm just like forever thankful to Set It Off for letting us do that.
For sure. And it's almost like people can tell when you're playing music for the right reasons, if that makes any sense. So that's probably why you connected with everyone because your music is very deeply personal to you and the band and what you're dealing with versus someone that's just slapping lyrics and like music on a track and they're like, ta-da, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree. So I definitely tend to I write from a place of like personal like misery in a sense, like the
Mhm.
things that make me upset and depressed and um the things that I've struggled with over the years cuz you know, one of the reasons I fell in love with music, and I think a lot of people do, is that connection that you feel.
Mhm.
You know, like it's like you start, especially when you're younger and you're feeling all of these things for the first time, like, you know, real sadness and like real, like, kind of like, you know, my whole world is ending, like over a
Mhm.
breakup or whatever it is. And it's like that gut wrenching feeling. And being able to listen to music and hear someone else say words you couldn't say yourself, but were words you needed to hear or say was like the most life changing thing for me. Like from that moment, I was like, you know, music is that like for me like I want to do that. And then you know, I didn't always write exactly from the heart. It took a while to kind of get myself to that place because like, you know, my very
Yeah.
first band, all those lyrics were fucking terrible, garbage. Would not recommend. Glad it's not anywhere.
Right.
It's probably still in my Dropbox, but that's that's where it's gonna stay unless
Right.
that guy from England tries to steal more music from me. But yeah, and then that's just kind of been it. It's like, you know, for me it's been therapeutic to write about things that I've been through and how I experienced them and then share that with people and be more open and then if someone happens to feel something from that and then just know that like they don't feel alone in those feelings and that they are they're justified in how like what they're dealing with, like they're not the only person, like you should be upset, it's a shitty thing to like go through.
Exactly. Well, like I had a podcast guest a couple of months ago talking about journaling and she popped into my head when you were talking about it because writing music and playing music is a form of journaling. It's getting those emotions out there, and especially somebody that like really loves music, that can absolutely change somebody's life. I will be a freaking metalhead until I kick it. But the one band that has always stood out to me as my all-time favorite band, and the band that absolutely time and time and time again saved my life from the age of 10 on, is Good Charlotte. Like when I got
That's
to see them at the Palladium in 2018, I sobbed when they played Hold On Live, and I elbowed my little 5 foot ass to like the fourth-ish row of the pit, and it was like it was life changing to be in a different spot in life and listening to these songs that literally kept me from offing myself on multiple occasions. And if you guys are listening, which I'm a little small for you to be listening, like y'all are the reason I'm here. And it's that effect that music can have on people, that they listen to a song and they're like, I can suck it up for another day. Like I feel seen, I feel heard. I can suck it up for like another day, another week, another month, however long, to get over that whatever they're dealing with. And people do not realize that it's not just a song. It can be literally life altering.
It can. It truly can. And like, like one of my favorite things is like, so like there's a song that I have, or there's two songs that I released, or that the band we released back in 2022. Innocence and This Isn't Home. Both of the
Mm-hmm.
songs are from like a childhood perspective of dealing with my father and the abuse that he put me through, and the things that I went through because of him. Um, and I share that story on stage every night, every night that we play. I share the meaning behind those songs, and like um, I'll never forget the first person that like came up to me and talked to me. I remember sharing it all. Like I just in the moment I felt like I needed to say it. Like I needed to just talk about what it's about, like what this song is. And I'll never forget going up towards the merch after our set, and a girl had pulled me aside and was just like, she pretty much she was like kind of sobbing and like vented to me and was like talking about how like you just said, like how seen she felt in a sense of like how she went through something similar, and like what I said really spoke to her on like a whole nother level. And like we just talked like about it, and like kind of just about those feelings for a little while, and it was like really cool. And I that's just what I've done at every show now, is like I talk about what it is that I wrote this song about, like, and um I don't beat around the bush, just very like straightforward about what it is. And people are, that have been in similar situations or are dealing with that at home, find it like pretty validating in a sense, I guess, and
Absolutely.
come and share their story with me, and it's really cool because I always wished growing up, until I really found that music, that like there was a song for me that described those perfect feelings. And it is very cool that I've been able to kind of give a few other people that experience that I felt growing up.
Is it kind of surreal sometimes that you're like, I got that experience from other bands and now I'm giving that experience to other people, and it's like, whoa. Like, does it
it it
feel
almost
like a dream
doesn't feel
sometime?
real sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, is this person like yanking my chain? Because like in another sense, it's like, um I don't want it to come off like almost a braggy in a sense, or like conceited in a way, like, oh yeah, someone like found meaning in my song. I think personally it is really cool that someone like felt moved enough by what I said and like what I put out there when I was on stage, that they wanted to come share what they had been through with me. They had felt comfortable enough that I was someone they could come up and say, I was abused too, I went through this. I, not so much my dad, but my mom, or whatever it is. And that's surreal and real in the coolest way,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's absolutely mind blowing. I handle that with the pod. I get messages like especially when TikTok was going to get banned, and I just got one message after another, like, you know, you I would see you were live and I'd roll in because like you built this community and I felt safe and I felt seen. And I had one person tell me that they've been going to therapy for over a year because I convinced them to give therapy another try. And I didn't actually convince them. I just talked about like my time in therapy enough. And it was just like I'm reading these messages and I'm like, I've got to be getting punked. But then, you know, you get to like your seventh message and you're like, uh, uh, what? Like, it's so mind blowing that it's like you're making a difference.
Yeah, like you're making an impact in people's lives, and um, yeah, I mean, that's all you can ask for is like you're giving other people light to create more light in their own life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's kind of a weighted responsibility with that sometimes because you don't want to let him down.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you're just like, ah, shit. Now I gotta really be an adult. What are there any bands that like inspire Sync with Me on your sound? You know, your writing style, anything like that? Like, obviously, you're not copying and pasting, but is there anything that just kind of like you kind of picked a little bit from here and there as you were creating the band and creating the sound and stuff like that?
Um, so I think as far as like our soundscape, we've always leaned very heavily into the post-hardcore
Mm-hmm.
vibe. Bands like 10 After 2, Of Machines, A Bullet for Pretty Boy. For me, those are like top three bands of all time. I absolutely love them. The Of Machines debut record, their only record. I swear to God, I've listened to it front to back 1,200 plus times. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not even an exaggeration. Um, Maybe even more. At this point, for the amount of years I've been listening to it. But I personally, because we all have our own influences
Right.
and things that we bring to the table. I just think we've really stuck in the post-hardcore realm because I feel like that's where a lot of emotion is, a lot of angst, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like heartfelt bands really thrived in a sense. Like at times we were definitely metalcore, and we have some of those elements, but I think we tend to lean more into um, the post-hardcore genre. And for me as well, like with writing, I've always gravitated towards um, bands that wrote about real shit. Like it
Right.
wasn't just like a good example, Sienna Skies, they're from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that band. Like if you listen to all of their lyrics, I'd say they changed a big part of my writing um because of how he would write his lyrics. All of his lyrics came from like the same place of like him speaking about his feelings and the way he felt in that moment and what he was going through. And all of that really spoke to me. And like, so that was music that I gravitated towards, like music that had a lot of emotion and feeling behind it. Whereas like there was music I listened to that oh, this is cool, but it like there wasn't any like substance to it in a sense. So it's like it didn't really it was cool to listen to. I enjoyed it, but it didn't have the impact that
Right.
like those songs had on me. Like I don't know if you've ever so there's a song by Of Mice and Men, Let Live. I'll never forget
Okay.
like there was a time that I was like for whatever reason, I was super sad. But every time I listen to it, I think about this exact moment in time where I was listening to that and like crying in my car at the time. And it's like every time I hear that song, I can like put myself back in that moment when I was like, oh, I don't even fucking know how old I was, but I just lost my train of thought.
Story of my
Music,
life.
um, yeah,
But no, I think it's crazy that like you can hear a song a million times and it doesn't like really do anything, and then all of a sudden you just happen to be in a situation that song comes on at just the right time and you're like, "Oh, fuck." Like, holy shit. And it hits you like a ton of bricks and you're like, I've listened to this like 800 times. Like, what the fuck? You
like,
know?
oh, this is what this song meant.
Yeah. I'm like, great. Now I really know I don't like this, but I also love it.
Oh, are these feelings?
Ugh, I know. Goddamn feelings. Speaking of feelings, um, how do you kind of juggle being a husband and a dad and then, having a full-time job and doing music full time? Like how do you juggle all that shit? Because obviously you got to be pretty present for each aspect.
Um, I mean, at this point, I feel like I kind of have it down to a T. It was very hard at first,
Mhm.
like kind of learning, where my priorities needed to be at certain times, as anyone would.
Yeah,
Nobody's perfect. Um, but I think a lot of it definitely comes from my wife and how much she helps me out when those things arise and when those opportunities come about. She holds the fort down at home with the kids, and as of late it's not so much the case of me being gone all the time. My job right now affords me the luxury of leaving the house for 2 to 3 hours to work, and then I'm just home all day, so I get to see the kids all day, help out where needed. um, but it's definitely for anyone that has a spouse or has kids and aims to potentially ever be on the road for long periods of time, it's not easy on anyone. It's not easy on you, it's not easy on your kids, it's not easy on your relationship. um and like that's that is something that I don't think a lot of people think about in the grand scheme of things, like
nope,
even people who aren't, like being on the road for months at a time. Well, again, coolest job in the world because you're traveling the world playing your music, but it's putting strains on everything else at home and everything else that you value. And I think a lot of people see the short term of, hell yeah, let's get out on the road, let's do this. And then it's like, but then what are you left over with at the end if you didn't take care of the things you needed to and like
exactly.
keep mending those relationships you needed to mend?
Well, and it's got to be tough because like by the time you get off stage, you're hoping that you're able to like call before bedtime or have an actual conversation, and people don't realize that like you're literally going while you're on tour. There's really no downtime.
Yeah, the only downtime you get is the when you're in the van on the way to the next show, and then it's like who wants to be on FaceTime or taking phone calls in the van with everybody else in there. It's like not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's you have to have a strong partner with that that's just as willing to like push you but also call you out on shit with that. Have your kids
Yeah,
been in?
it takes a very strong partner to
Yeah, it
be with
does.
someone who tours. I haven't toured in a band essentially in
Mhm.
a long time, but I have toured as a photographer and videographer for long periods of time, and I know 100% it was not easy on my wife and it was not easy on my kids. They missed me a lot, and it like made me cry when I finally got to see them, and like they were upset, and like for a while. And I think what really hit me was like my daughter Caroline. Every time I went to leave the house, even if I was just leaving to like go down the street or go to the gym or whatever, she would cry and like hold onto my leg and think that I was leaving, and I had to keep explaining to her like, no, daddy's coming back. Like I'm not going on the road. So even for me, like I don't know necessarily that like I want to spend 6 months on the road a year, unless it was like, paying the bills and stuff, which a lot of times music does not pay the bills.
Nope.
Um, but it's just like kind of become like, obviously it's still something I'm trying to work towards, but not
Mhm.
at the expense of how my kids feel and the time with them while they're young that I'll never get back. So,
Exactly.
my priorities have shifted a little bit. Um, yeah, it's hard for everyone involved. For everyone else that doesn't experience it or hasn't experienced it in some capacity, it's a very glamorous life. And for some it is. It's very awesome. It just really depends on who's in your corner to keep you afloat.
Yeah, for sure. I Because like you kind of see that's where bands kind of have member change outs because someone will have a kid and they'll go on like one or two tours, and then all of a sudden because it's tough, and it's not even just tough on the musicians, it's tough on what, like you said, the photographers, the videographers, the roadies, like the crew, like they're missing holidays, birthdays, big events to do what they love. And I don't think people talk about how much of a sacrifice it is.
There's that, and then all the thoughts leaving my head. I had
Story of
like
my
a
life.
really good point to add on to that. Oh, but well, and like another thing too, I feel like touring is a thing where you either love doing it or you don't, and you will find out really quick when you
Mhm.
get to like your first real touring opportunity because, sometimes you're gonna have to just get in the van and go. Sometimes you got a 12 or 14-hour drive. That's just what the routing was, whatever. Um, there's no, you didn't make enough money at the merch table that night, whatever it may be. There are struggles as well that come with touring that aren't just, you know, um, not being able to talk to family, missing important days, whatever it is, that just some people aren't like equipped to handle. Like not everybody
Yeah.
loves living that lifestyle, living out of a van. Like, most people think that they're going to love it, but like, once you've hit day
No.
4 and you haven't been able to hit a shower or which actually for the most part my band's been pretty good about. We just like we'll hit like a Planet Fitness or something and with a black
Mhm.
card get a quick shower in. Um but that might not be the case every time, and sometimes you gotta just suck it up and deal with it. Sometimes you gotta suck up that you're not gonna be able to just eat good food all the time. You're gonna have to you got a 30-minute gap between when you're supposed to be there for load in and you have to stop and grab food. You got to just stop, grab it, and get back on and get
Yep.
there in time for your show. um yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. There are a lot of people that do it just for the love of it, and like that's why you should do it.
Yeah, you have to
Definitely there, it's not the most lucrative money wise.
absolutely not. You gotta do it because you fucking love it. It's the same with podcasting. You gotta do it because you love it, because this is not exactly gonna be the breadwinner, but I love it. So I make the time for it. But yeah, it's like absolutely, it's not gonna be like some big thing. And even like the big podcasters, like it's not their full-time gig ever. Um, have your kids been to any of your shows yet? Or are they
They
still too little?
haven't. They haven't. They are. My oldest could probably go to a show. I might try and see if she wants to go to, because we just actually like yesterday announced our headliner
I know,
that
I
we're
saw that.
doing.
So excited.
Um, I might see if she wants to go to that. But I've wanted them to. I would like them all to see me perform at least once. But I don't know. My Caroline is very sensitive to sound, like loud noises and stuff. So I don't know that she would necessarily like love it, like even with her, because we have like noise canceling
Oh
headphones
yeah.
for her. We got them when we took them to see Megan Trainor in concert.
Oh my god,
Um,
it's so cute.
she had a fun time. I don't know. I would definitely love to. Yeah, like it would warm my heart to have them there.
It'll happen. They just gotta be ready, basically. Um, who's in who's in charge of like the songwriting end? Because songwriting is not just slapping lyrics down. Who's like in charge of creating the song? Like, is it all you or other band members? Like, how does that
So
all shake out?
right now it's a combination of us all. We
Mm,
all really have like our parts and what we do, but we more or less on these last few releases have been like working together a little bit more. So usually Steven, our guitarist, he kind of demos everything out like for a song. So he'll just send us um, a fully fleshed out demo, like, hey, check this out. Let me know what you think. And it's got MIDI drums, leads, bass, guitar, everything, sound effects and soundscapes and stuff. And then we'll jam it and listen and be like, oh yeah, I really like this part, don't really like this. We could probably do something different with this. And then sometimes he revisits that. And then I'll usually write lyrics. And it's weird. The way I write lyrics is like I sometimes I'm just like in my car and I'll just be like singing and saying random things until like a word or a line kind of pops in my head, and then I kind of like write around that line, or
Mhm.
like I'll be thinking about like something that I have wanted to talk about, and I'll wait until I've hit that perfect line where it's like, okay, I can build around this. I can like do that. And then just recently we've been like I've been like sharing my lyrics with the band as well. Like before we go to record, like, hey, these are all the things I'm writing, this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Like, could
Yeah.
something be less wordy? Could something be revised down? And like that's been really cool as well. And funny enough, we're going to the studio in 2 days to record new music
I'm so
for
excited.
the second half of this EP, and it's really cool because this is the first time we've like really fleshed out our full ideas. So like Steven put up 3 really great instrumentals, and then I went and I tracked some like rough demo vocals for them, which came out really good. And then Dakota, our drummer, he is also like probably the best drummer in New England. But he is amazing at his writing and the life that he brings to tracks.
Mhm.
Um, so we've got a really good thing going on. I would say Steven starts with the basic ground foundation of our song. We then build upon it with each other. I add in the lyrics, and then when we go and we record it, everything comes together
I love that.
and just works. It has. So we're just gonna keep doing that and hope for the best.
So, about your headliner, just to kind of wrap it a little bit, but it's in Manchester. Where's it at? Date, all that, cuz I got plenty of people in New England that listen.
It is in Manchester, New Hampshire, at the Shaskeen Pub on June 20th. There's no pre-sale. It is doors only, 21 plus, $15. 8:30 is doors. We very much foresee it selling out. So like if
Yeah.
you check us out and you dig the music, or any of the other bands on the bill, um, get there early because we did our hometown headliner the year before in February when there was a snowstorm,
Mm.
and we still had 65 people come out like during icy conditions and like rain and everything else.
Well, it's New England. We're used to that.
So we're anticipating a sellout, which would be sick. If it doesn't, not the end of the world, but that's, based off of what we've done before, and then the music we're about to release ahead of this show. We really think it's gonna kick it up a notch. So we're really excited. Be a longer set, new merch, potentially a light show. I still have to kind of like look into and figure that out among the other million things that I do for the band and myself and everything else in my life. So that might or might not happen.
Right, like priorities. It's kind of like low on that list. But
Yeah, it's definitely not at the forefront.
right, it's not in the top 5. Where can we find your music? Like I know where you can, but for everyone else.
Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. I think we are literally on every single streaming platform except for Pandora. I don't know what their fucking issue is. Just we paid for it with DistroKid. It's just not on there. They just don't like us. That you cannot find us on Pandora for
Oh my
whatever
god.
reason. No idea. Maybe that's changed now. I haven't looked in a minute, but I do remember. I'm like, one day I was like looking through everything. I'm like checking everything, and for whatever reason, we're just not on Pandora. So
Well, if any of my listeners find it on Pandora, drop it in the comments. Let us know.
yeah, that would be
So,
sick. I would love to be proved wrong on that.
yeah, literally. But yeah, Evan, I am so excited for everything you've got going on. Obviously, I've known you and your music for years and been a big supporter. I'm so glad you like randomly came back into my TikTok live the one time. You're like, "Hey, I
Yeah,
know you." I was like, "I know you too."
that is still like the craziest thing ever
It's
to be
so
scrolling on
insane.
TikTok and like your live come up, and I was like, why does she look so familiar?
Which is crazy because I had bleach blonde hair and a short ass bob. So it's like,
Yeah,
you
absolutely
know.
insane. I'm really glad we got to reconnect.
See, me too, dude. And I am so excited for everything you've got going on with your music. But yeah, check out Sync with Me. It is Sync With Me Band on Instagram. You can kind of start there and meander around to the other channels that they are on. We'll have everything linked below, yada yada. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on and chatting. This has been so much fun.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.